2020 Kawasaki KRX1000 Eliminator installation. A few tools you're going to need: 12mm open end and box end wrench, torque wrench that will go between 0 and 30 Newton meters, a long extension, a breaker bar with an adapter from 3/8 to 1/2 inch, a 14mm socket, a 12mm socket, a 3/8 ratchet, and a spring installation tool. And here you have the Eliminator kit. Should take about 15 minutes to install. Okay, the first tool I'm going to start with is the 1/2 inch breaker bar with the 12mm socket. We have 4 bolts here that I'm going to break loose. I don't like to bust my knuckles, so I like to use a breaker bar. And I'm going to switch to the 14. And way up in here, just above this heat shield, there's a 14mm bolt in there. And I'm going to get in there and I'm going to break that loose. Get this at the right angle. Okay. Now, I'm going to go take the 12mm wrench. These are a little tight, so take your time. But there's 4 12mm nuts that are all around here. So I try to use the box end to get them broken loose. That's a little tight with this heat shield in the way, but you can get it in there. If you go too far, you won't be able to get the wrench out. One more to go. And I'm just going to feel for this one back here because I don't know where it's at. Okay. Now that all those are broken loose, we can just move these tools out of the way. Take this long extension. It's got some Loctite on there. So a little bit tight. And we get that bolt out of there. Switch to the 12mm socket. I'm going to remove all but 2 of these bolts. I'm going to get them mostly backed out. And there's 3 main rubber brackets that dampen this standard silencer here. And once we get those off, we'll finish loosening these nuts, and then this whole chamber is going to slide right out of here. So start with the bottom one. Now, the bottom one you can just pull straight back, and there's a rubber grommet. You can see what that looks like. Now take special note, because when we reinstall this bottom bracket is going to go on the top, and then we're going to put the top bracket on the bottom, and you'll see that when we do the installation of the Graves Eliminator. Kind of wiggle that in there a little bit. a little tougher to get out. But if we just push the rubber forward, slide it off, gives us enough room to slide it out, then we can pull the rubber off. And so, just to note again, this is the top with this offset, and this is the bottom. When we do the reinstallation, we're going to put this one on the bottom like this, and this one on the top like that. Now, you can support this just with your hand here. You see we've got it loose up at the front. Spin these nuts off. Don't lose these because you're going to reuse them. We'll take two off and then set them down. Here. Keep it in the knobbies. And now this thing's pretty heavy. So if you're feeling physically challenged, get someone to help support it. And you go to slide it out. Probably 30, 40 pounds. Seems pretty heavy. And we're going to just slide this straight back. And it'll come right out. We'll just set this to the side for now. Now, the one bracket that the 14mm bolt went into, it fits up in the top. We won't be using this bracket again. So the first thing we're going to do on the reinstallation is we're going to install this spigot, flange, and the spring retainer with these nuts and these 4 bolts that are supplied in the kit. And you can see the flange has a little dot, or the spigot has a little dot, and the flange has 4 long bolts, and it indicates where the 4 long bolts should be, and it indicates a little line that's going to line up with the dot on the spigot, and it's also telling you that the spring retainer is going to line up with these 2 holes. So the 2 main holes, 8mm holes on the spring retainer, are going to line up like this, but not butted up against here. You'll see this when I do the installation. So we'll take this, slide this in here, and we'll line up our dot. You can see the little dot lined up. You get an idea. And it's not important to keep it lined up right now, just when we go to torque the nuts and the bolts up here. Take that and these 4 nuts. What we're going to do is we're going to slide this in here, and that you can see these longer bolts. This one gets pretty close to the heat shield there, so we'll just back that out just a little bit. And these are the nuts that were the standard retaining nuts. So just start with the back bottom while you're holding this down, and just get it finger tight, and then go to the back top. Get that one finger tight. So this way we'll just back these out a little bit. Then we're going to take the spring retainer, put it behind. We're going to start with the one on the bottom. I'm going to just get this baby snug. And then this is pretty tight. You got to slide the nut in here, and you can just spin the bolt. Be a little bit easier in this case. And again, we're just going to do everything finger tight, because what we need to do, we need to make sure that the dot here is lined up, and I'm gonna need my glasses to see that. There we go, the little dot is lined up with the line right here in the center. And now we're gonna torque these bolts to 20 Newton meters. See that? There you go, it's all lined up. Now that I've torqued up the flange, all four of these with the torque wrench, one of the things I forgot to mention in the beginning was that we needed a 10mm socket. So we use this 10mm socket and a torque wrench and the 12mm wrench to torque all of these bolts to 20 Newton meters. The next step will be to install the silencer. And this silencer, it's all made of titanium, titanium entrance cap, titanium body, titanium exit cap, titanium rivet bands, and a carbon fiber beauty cover, along with an aluminum bracket that's hard anodized for long life. We'll just slide this baby right on there, and this is nice and light. In place there. Okay, the next step is going to be to install the silencer mounting brackets. And like I was telling you in the very beginning, this is the top mount for the stock silencer, and this is the bottom mount for the stock silencer. What we're going to do is we're going to swap these. And so now this top mount is going to mount to our bottom mount. Now we've got some information on the back. It tells you this is the bottom mount and that this is the bottom frame on the inside, and this is the top frame bolt on the inside. We've done the same thing with the top mount, and this will make it a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this top mount first, and since it's going to mount to the frame, and this will be on the inside, we'll flip this around. Then we'll take this, which was the original bottom mount, and line it up with these two holes. Put a couple of bolts through here. And the holes are a little bit oversized to give you a little slop in the fitment. I shouldn't call it slop, I should call it free play. Right? And we're just going to put these in there finger tight so this can move a little bit. And then we're going to take two of these. We're going to come over to the silencer. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this sideways, and we've got our rubber grommet in here. And we're just going to slide this on. Push down on this just a little bit. Slide that on, then we're going to turn this in the upward position. Set those two bolts there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the bottom mounts. So, again, this is the inside. Top inside that goes to the frame, and bottom inside that goes to the frame. We'll flip that around. Mount this here. Slide these two bolts through here. Put the nuts on the back side. Again, finger tight so this can move around just a little bit. Come in here and we'll slide this over the post. Put these two in here. Get all these finger tight. Get this all finger tight. We know this is pushed forward. moves around a little bit. The next step is going to be to install the springs. Get our spring tool and our 2 springs. And this is sort of important. So you want to make sure you hook this in this direction. Makes it a little easier to do the install. And just gonna use this spring puller to put that in there. And we're gonna do the same thing with the bottom one. Hook that around. Nice tension. Give that a little wiggle. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna torque the 4 frame mounts first to 20 Newton meters. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna torque each of these 4 bolts that hold the standard rubber grommet brackets to the Graves adapter brackets. Okay, that's the last one. Now I'm going to start it up. We're done.